everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tube, ActionX's premiere show where we talk about everything in the world of television reviews, where we either review shows by an episode-by-episode basis, reviewing season by season of shows, or doing these quick impressions. Today, on the quick impressions front, we're talking about Game of Thrones. If you are a long-stay fan of this show, then you know, wait, didn't you already do a Game of Thrones episode? I did, but that was kind of like a so far review or overview of my thoughts at that point. I had not finished season 7 yet. I had not started 8 yet, so I was currently unable to do a proper quick impressions, because a quick impressions means that I have to be up to date or completed with a show before I can classify it as a quick impressions. So at the time of that recording, I did not finish Game of Thrones, but since November, December, I decided I was going to end off a lot of my long-running shows that were on my list for such a long damn time. And Game of Thrones was one of them. So I finally finished that, and now I can do a proper quick impressions about it. Again, if you're unaware, quick impressions aside, there will be no spoilers. So I will not be spoiling anything from Game of Thrones. Just everything episode 1 basis / very vague opinions about the later half. So there you go. So if you have not yet seen Game of Thrones, which I'm actually surprised, there still exists a decent amount of people who have not even touched Game of Thrones yet. And it kind of falls into the same bandwagon that I was in when I did my last episode / even before that, where it was too overhyped. And that was especially the case for season 7 and 8. I very much felt like this was overhyped, but I can safely agree the final season was quite a letdown in its second half. I would really love to get into spoilers on this, but I don't want to. I made an exception on the Lost one, because that was just so I could not contain my anger for that one very well. This one I can, so I won't be doing that. So anyway, so now going into Game of Thrones aside, my overall basic outline impression of Game of Thrones as just a very quick response, I thought it was okay. It was severely overhyped, like I said in the last review. And I just generally did not see much of the magic. I will admit there were some very, very cool moments that were actually surprising to me as the viewer. It definitely pulled away from my usual tropes into watching as many television shows by this point in the history of my life. However, it just did not keep me entertained. It did not keep me going. Where I can imagine a lot of people would say, oh, Game of Thrones season 1 to 7, perfection in television. I can't agree with that. I cannot. It just didn't hook me in. It never did. It always felt like a chore to do it. And watching a show should never feel like a chore. I always do it because my explanation for that is, and I tell this to my friends a lot, is that I rather deal with the show now and watch little bits at a time than having to build all that up and then having the even massive chore of going back and cleaning up the episodes I did not get to watch yet. So that was my case for Game of Thrones. I stuck with it. The DVDs were really cheap, $10 each at the time. So I said, screw it, let's just go all ahead, bulls in, and then I finished it. I finally did, and you know, it's it's okay at the end of the day. I don't think it's anything spectacular to me. I'm not saying that like the cast did an amazing job. You know, the crew, the set designers, the scout, the location scouter, everyone did a amazing job making this show possible. It looks very much like a movie at various points of time. My only issue is that I never really got to connect with a lot of the characters. And if you're unaware of me, I am a man who the most very basic thing a TV show needs to do to fully hook me in is the characters. I have to love every single character on the show, otherwise it will not work for me. And I can maybe name like 5 characters on my list that like I really like. Most of them I can't even mention because they're not in episode 1. I do it. Tyrion. Yeah, the thing about the Lannisters is that the namings of some of these characters are very similar to each other, so I get confused. Peter Dinklage's character, Tyrone, I believe. He's one of my obviously I think he has like a fantastic like the actor just always delivers a solid performance, and I kid you not, I love him as an actor. He did a phenomenal job, so he's great. And but the other characters, like it very much took me so much time to even get into. Like obviously people talk about Daenerys. I thought Jon Snow was cool, but and he had his cool moments, but I never really found him to be that compelling at times. Daenerys had an interesting journey, and it just very much like I feel like that like the show had a structure to it at the start, and it stuck to it until a very certain point where they like just said screw it, we need to end this. And I feel like what's hilarious is that I think it was George R. R. Martin, the original author for the books that the show's based off. He talked about in an interview that Game of Thrones, to adapt it properly in his version, would be over 10 seasons. And they clearly wanted to end at season 8. So there was a lot of rushing done. Now, yeah, of course, obviously you have 2 books. So it's like, well, wait, how do you like? Obviously, they're going to be massive books. Like the last 2 books in the series, which have yet to be published, because I feel like when they were planning the show out, they're like, oh, he'll finish the book in time for us to like adapt them properly. We end this show properly. The problem is that I spoke to this to George because George is a writer too. Like he takes his time to make sure everything he does is the best it can be. And I can imagine that's the same thing with the author, that he just didn't want to rush the material just for the sake of having an adaptation for the show. And that's kind of where the show begins to falter, slash, who knows what, like, maybe by the time, like, decades from now, when those books are released, and now we can then compare to what the show and the books, how they ended up. Hopefully we'll get to have a much more a grasp or tail on like what could have been, but like obviously we never will because the show's done. And it's just so weird because like I've heard about this show for so long, and now having finally seen it, and now it's in my head and it's over. Like I do not have an inclination right now to go and watch it. I really don't. It's kind of weird that this is just, I don't know how to explain it properly, because there are moments where like I really got into the show, but it just never, like, it was like, it's like sparks of a fire that like sometimes it keeps going for a bit, then it just drowns out. Like is this something that the medieval genre has yet to get to me? Like I don't think I've ever gotten into a medieval, like, even the Lord of the Rings, and I know that's like a different comparison, but even those films, like, I never really got into that. I like actually the Hobbit movies better than that. And I know it's like, blasphemous, how dare you? It's like, no, that's true, because I've seen the Hobbit movies first, and technically in a storyline, time-wise order, they went first, so I saw them first. After the last Hobbit movie came out, I saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and, you know, Anyway, but back to Game of Thrones. It's I'm very much in that very smaller percentile where I just thought Game of Thrones was okay by the end of it. And again, this is my show is this is my opinion. I'm expressing my opinion, but I understand not everyone's opinion is going to agree with me, and I'm totally fine with that. I respect everyone's decisions or opinions, and we could have a constructive conversation about it to the vagueness of what I remember. But what I can say is that the fight scenes in Game of Thrones were pretty cool. The CG got very much better as time goes on. The lore was interesting, but at some point it just became very too out of reach. Like there's this certain subplot in the show which I always thought it was going to go somewhere. But in my mind, it's like, did it ever really? Like, I mean, someone's gonna have to explain me that section someday down the line. I just did not understand certain points of a certain dark storyline with a certain actress's character, that like she had this connection to this very demonic deity. I'm trying to be very vague as I can, but like I always thought that was gonna get somewhere very big, and like from what I'm aware, from what my limited brain capacity is, I don't think it didn't really go anywhere. So I'm like, that was kind of a waste of a setup, and maybe the books will have done a better job at doing that. So again, whose fault is it? I'm not blaming anyone specifically because I don't like blaming anyone specifically when a show goes wrong, except Scott Buck. If you don't know who Scott Buck is, he did Inhumans and Iron Fist back in 2017, 2018. He sucks. I'm sorry. That was just horrible. That's universal. I have to say that forever. Done. But in terms of everything else, like generally, I'm very selective with when I say something sucks or blaming someone, because I never like to criticize people, because no matter what, someone said it best, like no matter what, some people put a lot of time in their soul and their heart into the project, and it just didn't turn out well. It does happen in Hollywood. It happens in television. It just happens. It sucks, and I wish, there was a... The thing is that every TV show is not going to be, like... No matter what, there's never going to be a perfect TV show. Game of Thrones was never going to be perfect. It just never was. Because there's always going to be that one fan who's going to say, it's not perfect. It could have been me. I could just be the one fan who just admits, like, I thought it was okay. It was okay. This was just another case of overhype. And that's the thing that, you have to be very careful on. Like, I talked about this during my Westworld, a Westworld conversation episode I did, which was also a quick impressions of Sora. That series was overhyped for me by George himself. George loved season 1. I got into season 1. I thought it was pretty good, and then season 2 dropped, and season 3 went back up, and then kind of lost me again. It's could just be HBO stuff, and like I reviewed Perry Mason, which was another HBO show, which got renewed for season 2. It was a hit, so I'm like, will that be the next big hit that I finally get on board? Maybe, but like the thing is, with every television show, you just don't know what's going to be the big thing. You just don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. I watch the shows because I care about it. I only watch Game of Thrones, literally, sorry about that for the camera. I literally only watched it because I was just so damn curious and wanted to see this hype. I really did. My mother is a huge Game of Thrones fan. She's excited for the prequels. Well, the prequel spin-offs that they're going to eventually develop in the future. So she's excited for those. And when she saw I was starting to buy them, she was very excited. Like, oh, he's going to get into it. He's going to love them. We get to finally have an actual mother-son conversation about it. And I told her it just sucked. It was bad. I didn't suck. I didn't really enjoy it that much. I really didn't. I felt like it was very much of a chore. And it could be just also when I was watching the last season, a lot of my friends were like telling me like, you shouldn't watch this. It's really bad. Just end it at season 7. Just consider that the end. I'm like, sorry, you got a whole other 6 episodes I got to watch. I'm going to watch them, and I watched them, and I'm just going to say maybe I should have skipped them. Maybe in the long run. But yeah, so in my quick impression scale, I felt Game of Thrones was okay for me. Will I do a rewatch down the line? Probably I will. Maybe if with the right person, with the right partner, I'll maybe give it another go. This time maybe on a much more continuous basis, like an actual, like, I'll give it a better shot. But I don't think my opinion's going to change that much. I've in more recent history, my opinion on stuff has rarely changed on anything. So we'll see how it goes. And we're still doing What's on the Tube in like 10 years, and we'll do an update. Who knows? I mean, we'll do an every Game of Thrones season reviewed. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But for me, I'm gonna give it like I would check it out. I wouldn't really recommend it. My 2 thumb scale, probably 1 half a thumb. Something like that. I really don't know. So I think that's gonna do it for me. But if you want to know, Game of Thrones is currently streaming on HBO Max. All 8 seasons. Or that we can also buy them on DVD as well. Let me know in the comments below. What did you think of Game of Thrones? What's your opinion on Game of Thrones? Let me know. I'm always open to conversation below. I love to talk to people. Just comment below. And with that being said, that's going to do it for me. So if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX, doing a quick impressions on Game of Thrones. If you want to know what we're doing overall, What's in the Tube besides our quick impressions. Normally on this time slot, we would be doing Nancy Drew Season 2 episode reviews each and every Thursday mornings after a brand new episode on Wednesday nights on the CW and free the next day on the CW app and the CW.com. That's currently on a mini break. We'll be back next week, sans a different background appearance. We also do Walker episode reviews each and every Friday mornings after a brand new episode. On Thursday nights on the CW and... Yeah, on the CW, and free the next day on the CW app and the CW.com. Again, Walker's also on break this week, so tomorrow's episode, quick impression, will be on Food Wars so far. So, stay tuned on that. And then then also we do Rookie Season 3 episode reviews each and every Monday morning after a brand new episode on Sunday nights on ABC, and then on Hulu the next day. Currently, that's on a big hiatus right now. We won't be back to the end of this month. So we have a ton of quick impressions planned for that. So stay tuned for that. I don't know what I'm doing for that time slot. I'm going to be filming that in like an hour. So I'll figure it out soon. But however, if you don't care about Game of Thrones, then sad to say, this is probably going to be a one and done. Maybe one day in the future we'll do an every season reviewed. But until then, we're probably not going to. But if you liked hearing me, you want to see more of my stuff, go subscribe to the channel. And, there you go. But again, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX. Subscribe to us on YouTube.com. Ring that bell for notification when our next episode is live for the show, which is usually Monday, Thursday, and Friday mornings. Like, favorite, share this review if you want to. It does help us out, get us out there to other people who have yet to discover us. And follow us on Twitter to be up to date on any sort of updates for the channel. Follow us on Twitch for streaming. And, yeah. So, hope everything's well in your lives. Be safe out there. Be good to each other. Hopefully, I'll see you down the road, or maybe next week, or maybe next time. I don't know. I mean, these quick impressions never really... I don't know what to expect. But again, I hope everything's going to go well, and hopefully you'll do well. So until then, peace out.